Ollie the Olive Tree, the first entry from the Memoirs of an Olive Tree by E.B. Vargas. Have you ever planted a seed and watched something grow? Plants need air, water, and sunshine, and lots of love sure helps too. Well, a certain gardener loved on a little olive tree he had planted from seed. But imagine his surprise when this tree started to misbehave. If the root is holy, so are the branches. Romans 11:16b, NIV, the Jewish heritage. The flowers were growing, the sun was shining. The gardener looked over his beautiful field. He had many olive trees. Olives were good to grow. They were delicious to eat. Their oil was soothing. The gardener took out his little shovel and started digging rocks away from the roots of one of the olive trees. He dug a deep, narrow hole right next to the tree so the roots would chase the water down deep. This tree wasn't the biggest of all the trees, nor was it the prettiest. Yet it was the one tree the gardener had planted from seed and daily cultivated. The gardener even gave his little olive tree a name, Ollie. The trunk grew tall and the branches spread wide and reached up toward the warm sun. The birds made their nests in the branches of Ollie, the olive tree. Life was happy in the field. Then something mysterious happened. Some of the branches didn't look up toward the warm sun anymore. They bent themselves so they could only see their roots. They thought, "My, what lovely roots I have!" The branches bent themselves down even further until it was a very funny-looking tree indeed. The gardener came out into his field and saw Ollie, his precious little tree. "This is not right," thought the gardener. "A few of the branches are still reaching up to the sun as they should, but many of the branches are bent over and are only looking down." The gardener spoke to the branches. "Straighten up, silly branches. I will always bring the nourishment you need for your roots to draw upon. Look up to the blue sky and yellow sun as you are supposed to." But the downward-looking branches did not listen. This made the gardener sad. The gardener held fast to each branch that wouldn't listen. He broke off the silly branches and put them aside. Stepping back, he looked at Ollie, his little olive tree. The tree still had strong roots. The tree still had a strong trunk. The tree still had a few branches reaching toward the sun. But there was much space left from where branches had been broken off. I have many olive trees growing in my field. They are wild because I have not cultivated them as I have this tree. But even these wild branches have the sense to look up and reach for the sun as they grow. The gardener took some of the wild branches and grafted them into Ollie. Many new branches were grafted in until the tree was full again. The new branches drank from the nourishment in the roots. The wild branches spread wide and reached toward the sun. Rabbits snuggled under the shade of their leaves. But life was not happy in the field. There was a pile of broken-off branches that had once enjoyed growing on Ollie. They looked back at their tree and longed to be growing there still. They were sorry they had not reached up toward the sun. They were jealous of the new wild branches that were now growing where they should have been. The gardener, who was a very wise and loving gardener, saw that the natural branches were sorry they had not listened to him. It was time. The gardener picked up the willing branches. He cut into the tree trunk. He cut into the ends of the branches. He grafted those branches back into the olive tree. They fit just right because that was where they belonged. Now lots and lots of branches, wild and cultivated, grew on Ollie. They spread wide and reached up toward the warm yellow sun. They drank of the nourishment drawn up from the roots. Birds came and made their nests, and rabbits snuggled under the shade of their leaves. All creatures enjoyed the olive tree, and life was happy in the field. The gardener looked out onto his field. He looked with love at his little Ollie. All the branches were growing as he intended them. The natural branches thanked the roots below. Some of the wild branches didn't yet know the roots to say thank you. But they all drank and were nourished from the care of the gardener, and they all gave thanks to him. Postlude. Olive trees can live to be many hundreds of years old. Ollie grew big and strong. His roots reached deep and his branches high as he kept his eyes on the loving care of the gardener and the sun. Living so long, Ollie had many adventures, made many friends, and recalled some wonderful memories. Fortunately for us, he wrote them all down in a diary. Read any of the other entries in his Memoirs of an Olive Tree. Because of their transgression, salvation has come to the Gentiles to make Israel envious. But if their transgression means riches for the world, and their loss means riches for the Gentiles, how much greater riches will their fullness bring? Romans 11:11-12. Visit memoirsofanolivetree.com. Enjoy the entire series, including easy-to-read explanations for children, lesson plans for teacher, parents, crafts, games, songs, and more.